Hey everyone, welcome back to the Scaling Deep podcast, or if you're listening on YouTube, just at Lisa Princic. We're going to do a really fun episode today on sales funnels and really looking at, do they really work? I'm sure you've heard about sales funnels. I'm sure you know the importance of sales for your membership or other programs. But what I find so interesting about this is that, especially when we're going from being a really good, skilled expert or coach or consultant or somebody who works one-on-one with people and can easily make a connection on a sales call or just have a conversation with someone and then be like, oh, I'm excited, tell me more. Trying to transfer that into a one-to-many program like a membership becomes so much more difficult when it's actually not that different. We just have to communicate it in a different way. So, do sales funnels work? They totally work, but we need to know what goes into them and how to really follow through on them. So I'm going to share a little bit about that today because before I even jump in, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. When I first started what I called the Profitable Membership Club, which is now the Scaling Deep Society, I did not have a proper sales funnel and I could not get anyone in that program very easily. It was very, very difficult. And the reason why is because I didn't have a well put together sales funnel, which basically did the important job of getting people to, number one, pay attention enough to see that I had an offer, two, entice them to check it out, and three, get them to really find it interesting and irresistible and then sign up. And that is so important because if you can't even get them to look in the first place or consider it or pay attention or actually think it's interesting, you're not going to get anyone to sign up for your amazing program. And the only difference for me was putting together a proper sales funnel that did all that. And then people started to join, right? The program didn't change at all. It was just how I got people to sit up and pay attention. So I'm going to share with you all those details today. That is why they are so effective because they do those two things really well. They communicate the value of it and they just get them to pay attention in the first place. So there's three things that I want you to know about sales funnels. All right. Very important things. One is that you have to have confidence in your offer. If you do not feel like you love your offer or that it's valuable, or if you're unsure about anything like the price of it, what's included, or who it's for, you're going to feel a little bit of doubt. And unfortunately, that doubt can come through in your sales process. So if you are leaving your sales to chance and just trying to show up and wing it, you might not be putting out the right level of confidence. Sometimes having a well-prepared funnel will allow you to build up your own case for your offer so you feel really good about it. You practice saying it over and over again, and then you put it out there in a way that really does convey the feelings that you have for your program, that it's going to make a real difference in people's lives, and you're really believing in it. Because if you've done any of this kind of work before for anyone, you probably know your process works. And you've also probably seen a whole bunch of other people do it, which really means that it does work, but you're just not putting it out there confidently. And that takes a bit of practice. So putting together funnels is part of the process of practicing selling and talking about your offer so that your communication comes across. So there are other ways to become more confident, and that's obviously by dialing in your content and feeling like it's the right kind of content, the right amount of content and all that, and also just the pricing of it, the value of it and all that, right? So that comes into play. And I'm going to share with you how I can help you with that in just a second. But getting right back to it, it really comes down to that. Also about consistency in the communication. So when you have an offer and you put it out, and then you wait a few days, and then you put out some little tidbit again, and then you do it again, and you do it again, you're not really consistently putting it in front of people and saying, hey, by the way, this is this great thing. I want you to actually pay attention to it. I'm really feeling like I'm going to push you a little bit and be more consistent with that. You're not just dabbling when you're selling. You have to have a consistent funnel, a consistent process for getting people to look at it from different angles, why this might be interesting to them, why it might be helpful to them, why they should check it out. And if you're not doing that consistently, if you're like email here, a few days later, social post there, a few days later, they might not even get the message that there's something out there for them. And that consistency really falls through. That's why people always say, like, finish off your campaign. Never, don't send the last email. Just really show up and show up like you planned in advance so that you follow through and get the message across that this is a valuable program because you're committed to making sure that they see it and you're consistently showing up. Even if they don't buy this time, that message will come across and they'll remember it. They'll be like, yeah, this was a thing that I didn't have time for, but now I'm going to look at it and pay attention. And they need to see that consistent showing up, right? So that is the second thing. The third thing is using your communication tools. So this is all about scarcity, like making sure that they have time limits to look at it, to consider it, to see the best deal for it, things like that. Otherwise, they're just not going to give it the time. There's something else is going to be more demanding on them and their attention, and they're going to give that their attention instead of your thing. So that's super important. Timing, making sure that they know the timing is limited, that it's not just always, they have to pay attention at the moment. So that is also critical. And then finally, your relatability. So that's another communication tool. And all these tools are saying is that this offer is right for them. It probably means that you've worked on the way you're writing emails to them or putting out your posts or the way you've written your sales page so that they can see that this is something to do with them and isn't just some other nuisance or other thing that they don't really need. And for some people, it probably won't be something that they need, and then they can just ignore it. But the ones who might have been like, wow, this is actually going to help me right at the moment, they will see that because you've communicated it effectively, and communicating effectively is critical to sales, right? So as you can see, that all of this has to do with how you are being perceived and that you are confident about your offer. And the confidence is really what sells. So your communication, your consistency, and your request for them to pay attention to your offer, that is all levels of confidence that you are exuding while you're doing the sales funnel. And the reason why the sales funnel is so effective is because it's pre-planned. Even if you're doing a live program launch, you can still have thought this through in advance to make sure every step of the way you are following through on all the actions that it takes for somebody to really consider your offer. And when you've got that properly planned out, that's the only way that you can really check it later and look at all the details, all the numbers, so that you can see, well, which part of the funnel did really, really well and which parts fell flat. And then you've got a good idea of what you need to work on. So you never have to throw out the whole funnel or the whole launch or the whole sales process. You just have to say, hey, look, people didn't click on the emails. Oh, look, lots of people got to the sales page, but they didn't buy. So now I need to work on the sales page. So this is why having that funnel gives you a process to analyze objectively what isn't working as well in your particular funnel. So you can work on it and optimize it instead of feeling upset or sad because it just felt like a disaster when maybe it was just one part of it that wasn't doing as well as it should. That's when you can take all the emotions out, even though, of course, you're going to have emotions when you're selling anything, but you can reduce them by looking at the numbers and looking at it objectively. And I love teaching people that because it really helps people realize that it's not about their program. Their program is likely amazing. They just did not get it out into the world in the best possible way. All right. So what are the different phases of a funnel? Well, the phases really are working backwards, because I love to work backwards because that's always how we're going to help us look at what's the most important thing first, right? So is, say, the offer itself or the sales page, like the thing that we're wanting them to ultimately do is click on that buy now button or sign up or join. And I always like to work backwards from that because that needs to be the irresistible next step at the end of the funnel. And so that's why I look at that first. That is the final phase, but that's where I start with my funnel so that I know that I've created some irresistible offer at the end of it. And then I work backwards from there. The next phase before that is the nurture phase. Like you're nurturing through this this phase of considering the offer. And that isn't going to just be one email, come check out my sales page. It might be a bunch. It might be a bunch of social posts. Whatever that is, it's like they've already heard about the offer, but now you're really, really like making sure that they see that this is a short period to check it out, to buy it, to get this kind of deal or these bonuses. You've got to work on that next, is that final phase of getting them to really, really consider heading on over and making sure that they do not miss a chance to check it out. And then before that is that invite phase, where this is when you first say to them, here is something that you might really want to help you. I've got this amazing program, and that is your invite phase. You can do that via an email. You can do that via a webinar. There's so many ways you can do that. And I want to share with you how in my upcoming workshop, because I know it's not the same for everyone. Everyone's funnel is slightly different depending on what assets you already have. Do you already have an email list? Do you have an engaged social following? Do you have a YouTube channel? Depending on what you have, your offer might come in different ways. I recently just helped a client launch without a webinar, just an invite to a wait list that had been waiting for his program to open up for a while. That was actually all it was to start the process of saying, hey, by the way, the membership is open for 5 days. Come have a look. So the invitation to check it out, to join, is a very clear part of this funnel. And then the one before that is the awareness. So you've got to get that invite out to people. You need to start building that audience so that there is someone and there are people who you can invite to come to your program or to show up on your webinar and help them see what you have available for them. So that is that visibility phase, that audience phase, where you are getting in front of people and inviting them to come check out the next thing that you need them to see in order to invite them to your program. So those are those critical pieces of your sales funnel. And again, as I mentioned, they are different for everyone. I personally have found that I have run ads from Facebook or Instagram to my mailing list or to a webinar. And then I have, during that webinar, introduced them to my program, Membership School in the Scaling Deep Society. And then I have nurtured them with a 5-day email sequence. That is what has worked well for me. And of course, I've worked really hard on my sales page to make it look amazing and make it communicating the value of the program and the outcomes that they can achieve by joining very clearly. And that is what works best for me. However, I have got clients who have giant YouTube channels and most of their sales come from there. I have clients who have great organic social followings on Instagram, and they have small lists, and most of their sales have come from people who simply hear about it from their posts on social. Everyone's got something a little bit different. So that's where I want to help you work out what the perfect funnel is for you inside my Maximizing Membership Sales Funnels workshop coming up next week. It is going to go through everything you need, even considering how much is your membership, what is the best way to get people in and checking it out at that price point? And what are the right steps for your person to take in order to get closer to seeing your offer and then truly consider it? I'm going to be talking about all the things that membership business owners are using right now to make it work for them and to make it as simple as possible for you to get them to really consider your offer as the best one for them. I'm also going to share with you how you can track it so you know what's working, so that you can tell if you're meeting the mark, because a lot of my members, they are finding that their funnel is working, but they're just not getting enough people in their funnel in the first place. So they're always relieved to know that they're converting really well. They're just not doing it at enough scale to get the numbers they want. So I will share all of that with you inside the Maximizing Membership Sales Funnel workshop next week. It is on sale for a third of the price of the regular price. And not only that, but when you buy, you also have a chance to get my profitable membership pricing formula course for a fifth of the value, as well as get into my next content workshop, which is I'm hosting in a few weeks, which you can show up live to or watch on demand for $10 off. And that way you can get, for the less than the price of one workshop on its own, all three of these so you can be entirely confident, not only in your sales funnel, but in your offer. And that is going to be the trifecta of getting your membership sold in today's market. So make sure you head on over to scalingdeep.com/maximize to jump in now, or subscribe to my podcast or YouTube channels so you know what's happening behind the scenes in my business and other ways I have to help you keep thriving with your flexible and fun membership business model. Thanks for being here today. Bye for now.